Hi! Welcome to If Mama Ain't Happy. So happy you're here. We're going to talk about balancing your hormones today. And you don't really need to see this too much. I'll just keep it back here. But we're going to go over all of that. Hi! So good to see you. Happy Wednesday. I love teaching this class. I have a very personal story with this class that I'm going to share with you. And we're going to talk about all the ways that we can balance those pesky hormones today. We're not even going to call them pesky anymore. We're going to be grateful for them. Hi, so good to see you. So if you're new to me, welcome. I am Dr. Edie Wadsworth, and I was a physician, family doctor for several years, and I found the amazing, miraculous world of natural health probably 8 or 9 years ago. And then I found the miraculous world of coaching, and now I combine both of those to help women feel better, heal their bodies so that they can live fully in the joy of their God-given callings. So that's what I do. I love my job, by the way. So I'm going to share a little bit of my story of how I went through sort of a massive health crash. And after that, the things that I learned that have helped me balance my hormones. I will say this. I'm 52 years old, and I am not on any prescription drugs or anything like that. And I went and had my hormones checked about a month or so ago. And my hormones look like I'm 35. So after I got all my blood work back, I was like, oh my word, I have to teach this class again. I know I've taught this class before, but people need to know this amazing stuff. So I am really excited to teach it to you. I will say this, what I'm going to teach you today is like everything else I teach. It hasn't come without a lot of intention and work and a lot of learning, investing in myself so that I can have the most energy that I can possibly have. Most of you probably know that Stevie and I, who were supposed to be empty nesters, are now the proud parents of a very adventurous and rambunctious 9-year-old. I said in my email today that we've lived like 7 summers already. So I made the mistake of telling Tom we were going to do something fun every day of the summer. So no matter what we do, he comes and says, well, now what are we going to do that's fun? I'm like, we just rode the jet ski. Well, what else are we going to do that's fun? So yesterday he played outside for 2 hours in the rain and mud and then came in and asked what we were going to do that's fun. So all of that to say, I desperately need to keep these hormones balanced so that I have plenty of energy for this boy. And you guys, this is the truth of the matter. Everything that you want in your life, all the goals you set, everything that you imagine for yourself in your life depends on your health. And as mamas, it tends to be the thing we don't do. It tends to be the thing that we put off. It tends to be the thing that we think we can put on the back burner until we get a wake-up call, which is what happened to me I guess around 8 years ago. I got a really scary wake-up call. My health totally crashed, and I had been a physician for several years, and I had, watched people have a health crash like mine, and it was really scary when it was me. It was really scary when I was the one sitting in the office with somebody telling me everything that was wrong and showing me my awful lab work and diagnosing me with things that at the time, I didn't know any better. I thought, well, I guess I'll just always have that thing then. And it was a scary time. And it was a wake-up call that I desperately needed. So if you are at a place today, I would love to know, what is the one thing with your mood, hormones, whatever, that you struggle with the most? I know for some people, it's energy level. For some people, it might be sex drive. For some people, it might be mood. You feel like you have these mood swings. But I would love to know what you feel like is the main thing that you're struggling with. But I will tell you that before I found what I'm going to teach you today, I had a big, giant, long list of things. I had gained a lot of weight. I wasn't sleeping. I had a lot of anxiety. I had no energy. I would wake up in the morning and literally feel like I could just go right back to bed. And I had no idea at the time that there were even any natural solutions to what was happening. So when I went to get checked out, I got diagnosed with a bunch of things and I got given a big pile of prescriptions, and I couldn't bring myself to do it. I was like, no, I'm too young. I'm too young to be on all this stuff. I'm too young to feel this way. I have got to figure this out. And I started on a journey to try to heal myself, to try to figure out what was wrong and why my health had crashed, and to find a way to feel better. And the things that I'm going to teach you today are the things that I have been doing for years. I just keep learning and keep refining and keep trying new things. And I just stay committed to my health. I stay committed to, I'm going to learn how to do this. I'm going to learn what things my body needs. I'm going to align my life and live my life in a way that is in accordance with how God made me. And I'm going to keep figuring this out. So today, I don't have any of those diagnoses, all the things that I was diagnosed with before: inflammatory arthritis, depression, anxiety, hormone imbalance, hypothyroidism, all the things. I don't have any of those. And I manage my health and my wellness with the things that I'm going to teach you about today, which are simple but not easy. And I want you to understand that this is not a quick fix. I will say this, however. When I found the answers that I was looking for that were more in line with how we're made, that were more in line with natural health, I did start to feel better fast. And I feel like I'm still on this journey and I'm still in some ways figuring it out, but I feel so much better than I felt in a long time. I feel 20 years younger than I felt 10 years ago. People say this. If you are already in my oils group, so part of what I'm going to talk about, it's actually the very last part, but part of what I'm going to talk about today is how I found the magic of essential oils and the supplements that I use. But if you're in my oils group, someone yesterday, I think I have Candace to blame for this, tagged a video that I did like 7 or 8 years ago. And I looked at that video and was like, I don't know if I should take it down or not. I look so unhealthy. My face is so swollen. I had a really bad eyeliner job too. And I thought I should take this down. But then I thought, no, this is the best testimonial for this lifestyle. This is a lifestyle. This is not like use 3 oils or use these 2 supplements or, it's not that. It seriously is a lifestyle. And as I have lived the lifestyle, as I've literally walked out, like lived what I teach, I just keep reverse aging. I keep looking at those old videos and going, if people don't look at that and go, wow, this stuff works. So all of that to say, I'm really thankful for the journey I've been on. I basically had to relearn everything about health. When I was trained in medicine, I learned a lot about illness, but I didn't learn how to keep ourselves well and how to create true health. And that is the stuff that I'm going to teach you today. So first of all, I want to say this. Part of the reason that we all find ourselves in this situation is not even our fault. We're just living the standard American life, eating the standard American food, using the standard American products, and we don't know that they're killing us. We don't know that they're damaging our health. So one of the things that I learned back then that has been hugely helpful for me has nothing to do with what I'm eating, or which I'm going to talk about in a minute, how I eat, how I take care of myself, but basically just everything in the environment. So if you look at the way most of us live, the products that we buy, what we put in our homes, the room sprays we use, the candles we use, the lotion, the cleaners, like seriously, almost everything that we have in our homes that we use on our bodies is toxic to our hormones. And I did not know this. So part of the magic for me has not actually been what I'm doing, it's been what I removed, what I stopped doing. And I really think that that's one of the most important parts. And a lot of the toxins that are in our environment are called xenoestrogens. And so these are estrogen like molecules that can elevate the estrogen and throw our hormones off balance. Our body loves our hormones to be balanced. Our estrogen and progesterone, our body likes them to be balanced. So when we get a lot of synthetic, fake, bad for you estrogen in our bodies, first of all, it just throws off the balance. And then that fake estrogen doesn't act in our bodies like our normal estrogen does, that synthetic estrogen. And if you look at even studies of men, because men are as exposed to this synthetic estrogen as we are, it has drastically affected testosterone levels. So if you look at men who are living the standard American life with the standard American diet and using all the standard American products, men have way lower testosterone levels than they've ever had. It's like we're swimming in a sea of estrogen, y'all, and it's not good for us. This fake synthetic estrogen isn't good for us. And here's the problem with standard American medical treatment. I say this as someone who was trained in it, who's thankful for it when we need it, who loves it to a certain degree. I'm thankful for it. But the treatment in this area, you want to guess what the treatment is for when our hormones crash because of all the synthetic estrogen that we're exposed to in our food and in our environment and in all the products we use? More synthetic estrogen. That's what they give us. And then we wonder why the rates of cancers and all kinds of things are so high. And it's because we continually, unknowingly expose ourselves to this toxic form of estrogen, which is really, really bad for us. It's really bad for our health. And so part of what I learned back then is, gosh, there's all of these statistics of how women are suffering with their hormones. 20 million women suffering from PCOS. 1 in 10 have endometriosis. 13 million have thyroid dysfunction. 30% of women have fibrocystic breast disease. 1 in 8 couples is infertile. 7 million women have clinical depression. Every 10 minutes, 12 hysterectomies are performed in the US. Like, if you just look at the statistics, it seriously is mind-boggling. Almost everyone you know has something wrong with their hormones. A recent study at the NIH revealed that a woman's menstrual health and hormones act as a gauge for her overall vitality and her overall health throughout her life. So if I want to know how you're doing as a woman, I ask you about your menstrual health and your hormones. And most of the time, when I ask women about this, which includes your menstruation, your fertility, your libido, almost everybody is struggling with it. And this didn't used to be the case. And part of the reason is because when all of these chemicals were sort of grandfathered in, when we started using chemicals in everything, chemicals in our food, chemicals in the way we take care of ourselves in our homes, things just started to drastically go wrong with our hormones. If you look at how people lived 100 years ago or 200 years ago, they didn't have all these issues because they used things that they found outside, things around their house. People cleaned with vinegar. They took care of themselves with, leaves and bark and all of that. And the food that they ate was not laced with all kinds of hormones either and chemicals. They ate real food that they grew, on their land or that grew around them. And if you just look at, just in general, how people lived, how they ate, how they slept, how they moved. People had to do a lot of movement back then just to survive. And if you look at how people lived back then, it's no wonder that they were much healthier than we are. We have access to all of this stuff that we have access to, and yet we don't have the thing we need the most, which is our health. And if we don't have it, we don't have much. So I love helping women rethink this. I love helping women learn some of this so that they can go, oh, I see, I understand. Now, I know that this can feel overwhelming. I know when I first started down this journey, I was like, listen, I ain't got time to read all these labels, to figure out all these different little toxins that are in everything. And I'm going to share with you at the end what I have found to be just the easy button. I promise you, this doesn't have to be hard. The way I teach it, I actually think it's pretty darn simple. It's just not easy, and you have to commit to continuing to learn about it, continuing to figure out better ways to feed yourself, to move your body, different supplements that will really help you. And once you commit to that and commit to this journey, you're going to feel so much better. You're going to start feeling so much better, so much faster. I remember when I first started down this journey, my husband would say, my goodness, I notice a big difference just in how you show up every day and the energy that you have. He noticed a difference in every way. And it was because I started doing simple things like removing some of this stuff that we're exposed to. So I think that is one of the easiest things we can do is recognize how much exposure we have to these hormone disruptors, how they block the receptor sites so that our own hormones can't work good. They have this estrogen effect on everything. Estrogen makes things grow. So we have a lot of abnormal growth of things, fibroids and cancers and all of that because we're exposed to this estrogen. So one of the easiest ways that we can help ourselves is to decide, like, I'm not going to live in a sea of fake estrogen anymore. And we start to really make intentional decisions about what we bring into our homes and what we put on our bodies and what we put in our bodies. So one of the things too that I love to think about as I think about, natural health is just getting back to simpler times. I think about even how God created us. God created us. He put us in a garden. He put us in a garden because what would you find in a garden? You would find some food. You would find some animals grazing maybe. You would find some trees that would bear different kinds of fruits. You would find stuff growing that you could eat. The other thing that you would find are natural things that you could use to take care of yourself. So I remember when I first started learning about natural health, I'm like, oh my gosh, it doesn't make sense that you could just rub something on you and you could feel better. But I totally believed that Pfizer could make something and put it in a pill that would make you feel better, right? And then I realized a lot of the stuff that the pharmaceutical companies use anyways, they get the idea from plants. And the more I learned, I was just amazed at how much we have at our disposal when we just get back to simpler times, simpler ways of eating, simpler ways of living our lives, simpler ways of feeding ourselves, of moving in the world, of taking care of ourselves through sleep and reducing our stress, just all of these ways. So when I think about the things that I have done in my own life to seriously take 20 years off my life, to go have lab work that looks like a 35-year-old when I'm 52 years old, when I think of the things that I have done, I have listed them in order. So we're going to go through these and you can take notes, but somebody just asked, is this going to be available as a replay? Yes, it will. So you'll be able to come back and watch it later. But I just want to go through the things kind of in order of what I think is really important for you to begin to balance your hormones. So first thing is decrease sugar. So I taught a class on this last year called Unlocking Your Metabolism. The whole class was on insulin resistance and how insulin resistance is causing us to have so many issues, but one of the things that it affects is our hormones. So when you eat sugar or things that have sugar in them, which all processed foods do, most processed foods do, when you eat things that are high in sugar, it spikes your insulin. What does insulin do in your body? It makes you hungry. It makes you gain weight. It makes you unable, no matter what else you do, to lose fat. It also affects your hormones. So insulin is a hormone, and when your hormones start to get out of whack, they kind of all follow suit. So one of the most important ways that I have been able to help myself to lose weight, to balance my hormones, to have more energy is to decrease the amount of sugar I have in my diet. Now, when I was younger, was diagnosed with PCOS. So I have known for years that I probably have some insulin resistance. I didn't know to what extent I had insulin resistance. Insulin resistance just means that as you eat sugar, your body can only take so much of it in, and insulin is the thing that brings the sugar from your bloodstream into your cells. And when you have so much sugar, the insulin is trying hard to keep up, but can't quite keep up. And that makes us insulin resistant. And there's a book out that I highly recommend that you read called Why We Get Sick. It's all about insulin resistance. Probably 80% of us, listen to that number, 8 out of 10 of you on this call are insulin resistant and don't even know it. Because you're eating so much processed food that's laced with sugar that you don't realize. You're using sugar substitutes that, even though they technically don't have sugar, they do elevate your insulin level, and it becomes impossible to lose weight. It becomes almost impossible to balance your hormones, and increases your body's inflammation and increases your stress level, your cortisol level, just by this crazy little sugar molecule. I know, Lori, isn't that crazy? You have to read this book called Why We Get Sick. I read that book about 1.5 years ago, and it totally changed my life. I bought a glucometer. I started measuring my blood sugar. I started measuring how things affected me. I had already done a keto diet, and I don't do strict keto now, but I am very careful about how my body is affected by what I'm eating. So if you did nothing else on this list except stop eating sugar, your hormones would start to balance. Not even kidding you. There are some sugars that are better, some sugar substitutes that are better than others, but most of what we're exposed to is not really good for us. Stevia is not too bad. Allulose is a decent sugar substitute. Swerve is a decent sugar substitute. The name of the book is called Why We Get Sick, Kelly, by Ben Bikman. If you want to put the link in the chat, that would be great too. But that book has had a profound effect on me and the way I take care of my health. It's so good. But balancing your hormones, number 1. Decrease sugar. How many of you would say, like, oh, I have such a sweet tooth? I used to say that all the time. Now I think to myself, is this food going to spike my insulin, going to raise my blood sugar? And again, for a solid 1.5 years, I checked my blood sugar a lot so that I know what foods affect my blood sugar. And I am way more careful about it now than I ever have been because of that. So, decrease sugar. Number 2, increase your healthy fats. In general, y'all, I want you to think about eating how people ate 100 years ago. I think about it like this. Eat food that God made. So, again, steer away from sugar, steer away from white flour, eat local, pastured food that God made. If you just avoided processed food that you buy in a bag or a box, you're going to be way better off. But the other thing that I find as women that we're really scared of is fat. And all of your hormones are made of fat. So if you're eating a low-fat diet, first of all, you're not helping yourself at all, because when you're eating a low-fat diet, you're not giving your body the building blocks it needs in order to make hormones. Sometimes if I'm using a slideshow when I teach this class, I'll show a slide of all the hormone pathways, how your body makes estrogen and progesterone and all of that, testosterone. And you know what they all start with at the top? How many of you have been to the class where I show that slide? What do all of those hormones, what's the precursor molecule that they all start with? It's cholesterol. It's fat. And if we're not getting healthy fat, we can't make our hormones. Now, there's a lot of unhealthy fat. The fat that is in processed food is really unhealthy fat, and that's what a lot of us are eating. I mean, healthy fats like olive oil, avocado, coconut oil, the fat that you get in pastured beef, healthy fats that are good for us, that help us, that give us the building blocks of hormones. So ask yourself, am I getting enough healthy fats? You probably will have to do this on purpose. Again, salmon, fish oil, chia seeds, avocado, olive oil, coconut oil. Yes, certain nuts, macadamia nuts are good, are high in fat. You have to be careful with nuts if you're trying. Nuts have just in general a lot of calories, and I find that it's so easy to overeat them if you're not being really conscious about am I really hungry here? Am I just wanting to eat? But nuts are a great substitute as long as you're aware of that. Number 3, avoid synthetic hormones in all their forms. So we talked about this at the first, but hormones are in everything, y'all, unless you're being super careful. They're in the lotion you use, the makeup you wear, the food that you eat, the cleaners that you use. Synthetic hormones are everywhere. So be aware of what you're putting on and in your body. Be aware of what you're bringing into your house. Again, I'm going to share with you the easy button at the end, but I promise you that there are lots of clean solutions. You don't have to use the products that I recommend, but just be more cognizant of what you're using, of what you're putting on and in your body. Also, if you're taking synthetic hormones, go talk to your doctor. Ask if there's a natural hormone replacement that you can try. Synthetic hormones, I'm not even going to share it. I have like a seriously 21-page document for this class, and I'm not even going to share all the statistics, but there are a lot of alarming statistics about synthetic hormones, so be careful there. Again, we get into hormone trouble because of synthetic hormones, and then the treatment for our hormone problems is just more synthetic hormones. So do some research. Figure out if there's a way. First of all, try all the things that I'm saying. I promise you it will start to get better. And if you still need some supplementation, there are lots of bioidentical or natural hormones that you can try. Here's what I will tell you. When my health first crashed, I was already showing signs of perimenopause. And as I cleaned all of these things up, y'all, I'm not even close to menopause now. I looked at my hormones and went, whoa, no wonder I'm still having just normal periods, like way normal than before. So when women went through, menopause in the past, first of all, it was way easier on them because there were they didn't have all of these synthetic hormones in their system to make their symptoms so much worse. So the transition was easier. I promise you, a huge, big part of the problem is synthetic hormones that are everywhere in everything. Look for those. They're called xenoestrogens, and they're everywhere. So minimizing your exposure to those, you won't be able to avoid it altogether because literally it's in the air we breathe, but being aware of it will really help. Number 4, supplement a good, healthy diet. So ask yourself, is what I'm feeding myself really nutritious? Is what I'm feeding myself giving me life or death? Is what I'm feeding myself helping my body perform, do what it needs to, give me energy, give me health, or not? And one of the ways that I love to simplify this is to, when you're in the grocery store, think to yourself, there's the perimeter of the store that has like the fruits and the vegetables and the meats and the eggs and some dairy. And then there's the middle of the store that has all the boxes and all the cans. So when you're grocery shopping, ask yourself, am I buying lots of boxes and cans in the middle of the store? Because I promise you, you will not create health with that. You will create health with real food. Food that God made. Food that has a living energy, a living frequency, real vitamins and minerals. And as you begin to transition to eat like this, what you will notice, what happens to us when we eat a lot of processed food is our bodies know that they're not getting what they need. So we're just hungrier. Those foods just make us hungry because we're not getting the nutrition that we need. And our bodies are smart and they know that, which is why you never overeat. Almost never. If I gave you a big, juicy, amazing steak and a plate of broccoli, you would really enjoy that, but you probably wouldn't overeat. Most people are not overeating on fillets and broccoli. What you're overeating on is processed food and sugar. So when you're eating healthy food, your body is getting what it needs, so it doesn't continually produce hunger signals because it knows, no, I just got what I needed. And as you're learning how to feed yourself this way, you'll get fuller faster, especially as you're incorporating healthy fats. Don't be afraid of fat. Incorporate healthy fats. Melanie is asking about fruits. Yeah, so I would be careful with fruit. I wouldn't make fruit the central part of your diet, but obviously fruit is food that God made, and eating that in moderation can be awesome. I love having some berries. Right now I have blueberries and strawberries and some apples. So I think fruit, especially the fiber that's in fruit, is so good for you, but I would fill up, like, you know the saying, eat the rainbow. Fill up on all of those colored vegetables, those lean meats, those fishes, that beef, all of the food that God made for us to ingest, and you'll do yourself such a favor. Now, will you figure out certain foods that work well for you and certain foods that don't? Yes. I noticed for myself when I was checking my blood sugar a lot that even though I do like to eat sweet potatoes tend to boost my blood sugar and my insulin level. I can do rice though. Rice doesn't tend to do that for me. So somebody asked earlier, what about rice? You have to figure it out for yourself. Like what feels good in my body? What, after I eat it, what feels like it gives me energy? I don't feel so heavy and bloated, and I've weighed down my system with all of this food. So learning how foods feel in your body can be super helpful here. You can't out supplement a bad diet. So I'm going to share some supplements with you that have really helped me with my hormones, but I promise you, if you do these things, your hormones will start to balance, and you don't even have to go all the way down the list, but your hormones will start to balance. But I do love adding some supplements to an already good, nutritious, nutrient-dense food life. Some of the things that I prioritize for myself is lots of vegetables. I eat meat every day. I often for lunch, I eat a lot of fermented foods. So often for lunch, I'll have a burger patty and sauerkraut. I have that a lot for lunch. I love tuna salad. It's not that I don't have any carbs. I do have good, healthy carbs, but I try not to fill up on things that don't have nutritional value. So fermented foods are really, really good for your gut health. We'll talk about that more in a second. Good pastured beef. I eat a lot of beef, a lot of fish, and just the rainbow of vegetables. Yes, Lori, kimchi, love it. I have my own recipe that I do my own sauerkraut. So I make sauerkraut, every few weeks in a big old container. I have sauerkraut almost every day. But I am going to talk about some supplements that I think are awesome. But I want you to know that you can't out-supplement a bad diet. What I love about the supplements that I'm going to share with you, these are Young Living supplements. The products that I'm going to be talking about today that have changed my life, that I love so much, are all Young Living products. You don't have to choose that, but I will tell you that as a physician, I have tried so many different supplements. I actually got to the point in my life several years ago when I was practicing medicine where I would tell my patients, don't even bother with supplements. Supplements are just expensive urine. I really believed that because the supplements that I used didn't make a difference for me. When I started using these supplements, I noticed. When I use, one of the things that I highly recommend for supplementation for hormone balance is a good probiotic. When you take this probiotic, it's called Life9, you took it. It affects your digestion. You're like, oh yeah, I can tell I took that. And this is an incredible supplement. 17 billion active cultures. The reason that you're taking probiotics is to improve the health of your microbiome. Your microbiome are the bacteria and viruses that live in your gut that help you digest your food, help you get all those nutrients out of the great food you're going to start eating. No, this one is Young Living, Lori. Um, and those probiotic or those that microbiome is so important. The health of it is so important because it's your first line defense of your immune system. It's also where most of your serotonin is produced. So the title of this class is If Mama Ain't Happy. Well, I can tell you that if Mama has bad gut health, she's not going to be happy because you're not going to be able to produce the amount of serotonin that you need in order to feel well. So prioritizing gut health is so important for our hormonal and emotional life. So Life 9 is incredible. You will be able to tell that you took it. You will be able to tell that you're digesting your food way better. So that is an important supplement that I love. Also for my hormones, I take a supplement regularly called Fimogen. This is also a Young Living supplement. All of the supplements that I'm sharing, I think, today are Young Living. But this supplement has a lot of herbal remedies in it, black cohosh, ginseng. It also has Miss Edie needs better glasses. It also has some plants called fennel. It has some clary sage. It has some regular sage. I'm going to talk about those essential oils in a minute. But and ylang ylang, which is really good for your hormones. So there's so many good herbal remedies in this one, and this one is good for all different ages. So this is called Fimogen. I love this for my hormones. I take it almost every day. Now, again, remember what I said. All the other things, I'm not saying like eat whatever you want and don't do all the other stuff and just take supplements. You won't get the results that way. But when you add these supplements to an already nutritious, healthy diet, it can make a big difference. The other thing that I'm just obsessed with, this tastes terrible, by the way, but this is called Mineral Essence. So much of what is ailing us today is because we don't have the trace minerals that we need. And minerals are so important. Minerals used to be in our soil, but a lot of times the soil where our food is grown is deplete of minerals. The thing that I love about this one that I notice when I'm taking it on the regular is it's so good for your immune system and it's so good for mood. So there are 55 trace minerals that are in their ionic form, and it also has magnesium, has some essential oils in there. So I take several dropperfuls of this most days. I don't take it every day. With supplements, I find that your body needs periods where you're taking supplements, and then it needs to sort of learn how to function without supplements. So I don't take supplements all the time every day. I'll go through periods where I take them, and then I'll go through a month or two sometimes. I don't usually go that long on, I take my Fimogen and my Life 9 most of the time, but I'll go periods where I don't take them and then periods where I do take them. But I do love minerals. Minerals are really important in your body for so many different reasons. The other one that I want to share that changed my life probably more than any other single thing that I've ever taken is Ningxia Red. So what I'm opening right now, I'll show it to you in a minute, is the starter kit for Young Living. And with the starter kit, the essential oil starter kit, you get 2 packets of this amazing drink. So if you're on this call and you drink this drink, I want you to tell us what your favorite thing you noticed after you started taking it for a while. I've been drinking this drink every single day. Listen to me now. Every single day for 8 years. I never, ever, ever go without it. Stevie and I use this as like our cocktail drink at night. So we will put this, a couple ounces of this with some San Pellegrino. And this drink has changed my life. This drink reduced my body's inflammation by, I would say, 70%. It is made from the fruit juice and pulp of the wolfberry. And it's kind of like a little bit like a goji berry, but a different kind, which is called the wolfberry. It also has some essential oils in it. It has some other like juices and fruit pulp, but it's so amazingly good. My husband and I have been drinking it for almost 8 years, and we never go without it. It helps us so much in so many ways. I think it's amazing for digestion, great for your immune system, good for energy. It actually, even though it's juice, has some fruit juice and some whole fruit in it, it's very good to balance your blood sugar. So I have tested this with testing my blood sugars. I have some people who, once they started drinking this, their hemoglobin A1C went down, people who are pre-diabetic, so it's really good for that. So that's my favorite supplement. If I was only going to take one supplement, there's no doubt that that is the one that I would pick. It has, I would say, given me, it's kind of like a way to sort of flood your body with good nutrition, and there is nothing that I've used that has even come close to that. So we have been committed to that for a long time. Okay, so the other one that I didn't bring with me, that one is also Young Living, Lori. So you get 2 packets of it in the starter kit, but I would highly recommend that when you get your starter kit, just add on 2 bottles of it, try it for a month, and see what you think. I didn't mention B vitamins, but we have a B vitamin that I love called Super B, which is really good for hormone balance and for mood. So if you've never tried that, I recommend that as well. Number 5, weight training. I have been consistently weight training for the past 5 years. It's hard to say if that has had more of an impact on my hormone balance than food. It's probably equal. But y'all, weight training is so important. We used to, 100 years ago, the way we lived our regular lives, we didn't need to weight train because we were already doing things like that, lifting heavy things, helping build cabins, helping all the things that we had to do back then to just survive. But weight training is so important. And if you look at the studies of longevity, people who have good muscle tone live longer. They also feel better. They have lower blood sugar. They have more energy. Weight training is the bomb. So if you tell yourself like, oh, I'm too old or I can't do that, that's all just lies. You could just make this a priority and you could just get dang strong. I'm telling you, I was at the gym today and we were doing heavy back squats, and I just can't even believe sometimes how strong I am. I can't even believe it. It just slowly over time, I just keep being faithful to it. I just keep adding muscle. I just keep showing up. Never perfect. Took a long time to get here. But that lean muscle that I have built is so protective. There's probably nothing more protective for you on your body against disease, against viruses, against whatever the world throws at you, literally, than being strong. So I want you to make this a priority. Get strong. Do what you have to do. Hire a trainer. Make this a priority in your life, and you will see your hormones balance. There's almost nothing, maybe except for food, that balances your hormones better than putting on muscle. Your body just straightens itself out. Number 6, prioritize sleep. Listen, we live in a culture where we just prioritize, I don't know, everything else, right? Netflix, staying up late, on our devices, and all of that. But I read a book a few years ago called Why We Sleep, and I've been obsessed with sleep ever since. Sleep is when your body heals itself. Sleep is when your the mitochondria in your cells do all of their magic to keep you energized and to balance your blood sugar, to help you lose weight. There's so many amazing things that happen when you sleep well. I'm going to share with you today, when I get to the oils in just a second, some oils that have really helped me. Young Living has some amazing supplements that help with sleep, but you need to prioritize sleep. Sleep is so important. It's when your body does all the magical things when you sleep. And I dare say that a lot of us just don't have good sleep hygiene. We don't sleep where it's really dark. We don't keep the room cold enough. We Don't prioritize like a sleep routine that we go through before we go to bed. Just all of the things. Kelly, will you look that up for me? I think it's Matthew. What is his last name? His first name is Matthew, but will you look up that book, Why We Sleep? It's so good. Some of my favorite oils for sleep come in the starter kit. I love Valor. Yes, thank you, Matthew Walker. I love Valor, Stress Away, Lavender, frankincense. All of those are really good for sleep. They come in your starter kit. You could put them in your little diffuser by your bed and sleep like a baby. But there are lots of good ones for sleep, and we have some good supplements for sleep as well. Number 7, reduce your stress. Now, some of you are going to tell me that you don't have control of this, that life just hands you things and you don't have any choice but to be stressed. But I want to show you something really quick. I teach this in my coaching program, and this really helps people so much. So this is what I call the creation cycle. And the creation cycle has 3 components: thoughts, feelings, and actions. So there are things that happen outside of you, and then there's this inner life that you have control of. All the stuff you don't have control of is, I don't know, your job maybe, what other people say or do, how your kids may be struggling, all of those things that are outside of you. Those are usually the things we're trying to change. We're trying to change our husbands and our mothers and our children and our boss. We spend all of our energy stressed out about all the stuff that happens outside of us. Now, the only thing we can ever control is what happens inside of us. Our own thoughts. Those thoughts cause us to feel a certain way, and those feelings drive our actions. And this gives us the experience of our lives. This is how we experience our lives. We don't experience our lives by what happens out here. We experience our lives by what we make it mean, by what we think about what happens out here. Now, we get into these patterns, these thought feeling patterns that aren't good for us. We just love being stressed. We just easily go to stress, and we go to overwhelm, and we go to anxiety, and our bodies make it a habit because we do it so often. But I promise you, you can interrupt this. You can decide what you want to think and feel. You can create that. I love the scripture that says, transform your life by renewing your mind. You can direct your mind. Your mind can offer you thoughts about how terrible something is, or, oh, we should be stressed about this, but you have the final say. You have so much power for what you create for yourself in your inner life, and it's actually the only power you have. You can't change the boss. You can't change the husband. You can't change the children. But what you can do is renew your mind, and you can just decide how you want to show up. You can just decide what you want to think about your own health, about your own body. I just decided one day, and I write it down all the time, I'm healthy and fit. I just write that statement down. And that statement, those thoughts help me to feel empowered and energized. And that helps me go to the gym and eat the right food and prioritize sleep and make these things that help me have more energy and help me have a better experience of my life possible. So, reduce your stress by managing your own mind and emotions instead of trying to manage all the other things that are outside of you. So this tool helps me so much. I call it the creation cycle, and I'm constantly asking myself, what am I creating for myself with this thought? Now, the last thing that I want to mention, and by no means the least important, because I do call this the easy button. The last thing that I want to mention is how much joy I have gotten and how much health I have gotten by these incredible essential oils. So I started using all of these supplements and these oils probably about 8 years ago. And I was truly skeptical because I was trained in traditional medicine. I was trained to be skeptical about something that looks like this, about something that you supposedly rub on your skin and it makes you feel better, until I tried it. And after I tried it, y'all, these products have seriously changed my life. I use them all the time, every single day. I have so many different routines with ones that I use in the morning and ones that I love in the evening and ones that I put in my diffuser. They seriously have brought me so much happiness, so much joy, so much health. One of the things that I love about essential oils is how they improve mood. So remember, I called them the easy button. Now, all this work with the creation cycle is incredible. And it takes practice because you have to practice thinking what you want to think. You have to practice generating the emotions that you want to generate. One of the incredible things about essential oils, and after I started using them, I noticed this and I was like, I am getting all of my family and friends on oils, because once people start using oils, they're just nicer. And as I dug into the research of how they affect our emotions, that's why it's so amazing to be out hiking, to go outdoors, because you're exposed to the oils that are just in the environment from the spruce trees and the honeysuckle vines and the rose bushes, and they're just wafting off the trees. This is why you go for a long hike and you're like, oh, that was hard, but oh, I feel so much better, right? So these oils, which are compounds God made that he put on the earth, that he put in these plants, he put them in the plants, first of all, to give the plants health, to help the plants protect themselves, to help the plants grow, all of the amazing things that they do for the plants. And then when we avail ourselves of them, we get the amazing benefits of them. And I'm telling you, there's nothing like it. There's seriously nothing like it. I was at my daughter Emmy's in Chattanooga this week, and she was moving from a house to live in the sorority. And I walked into her place, and she had most of the stuff she hadn't put away, but she had her diffuser going. And I walk in and I'm like, oh, that familiar smell of like citrus fresh and grapefruit and stress away. And it just made me realize that for a 21-year-old to, of her own accord, just find that it's important when you're moving and all your stuff is everywhere and in boxes, but she's got her diffuser plugged up and going. I'm like, these oils are pretty powerful. And you know, in my house, there's diffusers in every room. In this room, there's 1, 2, 3. I think I have 3 in my kitchen. I have 2 or 3 in my bedroom. We have diffusers everywhere. We don't use candles anymore. We don't use room sprays. We just use the diffuser. So when you get a starter kit, you get 12 oils, you get a diffuser, you get to start experiencing the amazingness of these oils. So one of the reasons that they're so magical is because of their size. They're tiny in size. And you know, I talked earlier about the toxins that we're exposed to. One of the main effects of essential oils is to remove toxins from your cell. So I like to think of it like this. I was just in Chattanooga at this hotel, and they had one of those key cards where you hover the key card over the thing on the door, and then the door opens just from hovering the card. When I first started seeing those, I'm like, this is so crazy. That's exactly how essential oils work at your cellular level. So they have a high vibration. They're living oils. They have the intelligence of God, their creator. So they have this vibration. They're kind of volatile, which is what gives them their smell. And when they hover over your cell doors, they open the cell doors and allow the toxins to come out. So I think one of the reasons when I started using oils that I had so much improvement in my hormones was because all of those toxic hormones can start being released. I can start getting those out of my system. So I love that effect. They also bring more oxygen to your body. They balance your body in ways that is amazing. They are adaptogenic, which means they do what your body needs. So you can take an oil like lavender in the starter kit, and if it's nighttime and it's time to sleep, lavender will help you sleep. But if you burn yourself in the day or you get a cut, you could put lavender on it. It begins healing that cut. and doesn't make you sleepy. So they're adaptogenic. They do what your body needs because they have this natural healing power that God put in them when he created the plants. So if you wonder, like, oh, we have all these amazing prescription drugs, most of those, the ideas for those drugs we get from plants. So we just go straight to the plants. The plants have amazing healing properties. So if you look at, say, a bottle of, lavender or a bottle of frankincense, there might be 300 different healing compounds in that one bottle. And then they have a small size, so they easily get into your cells. The first place they go when you breathe them in is to the emotional center of your brain. So they are stress reducing. They're one of the only things that instantly block cortisol, the stress hormone. So just in general, they're pretty amazing and pretty magical. So as you start using these, what will happen is your body will start to detox. One of the things that I do every night to help my body with this process is I use Epsom salts. The magnesium in the Epsom salt is really good for your body. And I use a lot of my specific hormone oils at night as I'm doing my salt bath. So one of our most popular hormone oils, this does not come in the starter kit. So the ones that I showed you, lavender, valor, raven, which is a breathing oil, peppermint, lemon, thieves, which is an immune oil. All of those come in the starter kit. And then you could add on a few of our hormone oils. This oil right here has changed my life. I use it every night in my salt bath. And I just take the cap off and just sprinkle it over my chest or in my inner thigh, anywhere where your skin is kind of thin. And you can start out with 3 or 4 drops a night. I don't even count anymore. I just go like this. But this oil will balance out your progesterone, and I call it the Mother Teresa oil. It will make you like Mother Teresa, only slightly naughty. This is really good for sex drive, really good to help you sleep. So I love using it at night in my bath. It's called Progessence Plus. See that there? Progessence Plus. And then this is another one that I use every day. It's called Clary Sage. So if this one is a natural progesterone, Progessence Plus, Clary Sage is a natural estrogen-like molecule. So I love using this one. Use it in exactly the same way. Use it every day in my salt bath and love it. The other oil that I use, and I usually use either one of these for my thyroid, and I just rub it on my thyroid as I'm in my hot bath, but one is called Myrtle and one is called Endoflex. Endoflex has myrtle in it and has other oils that are good for just in general your thyroid, your adrenal glands. So that's a good one to rub right over your thyroid or right over your adrenal glands. I also love Myrtle, which I use. It's a good breathing oil too. So I use it on my chest and thyroid at night, and it is a good balancer of your thyroid. So those are the main ones that I use to balance my hormones. I will say one other thing because it comes in the starter. Well, no, that was a hand sanitizer. I wanted to show you one other thing. As you're thinking of getting rid of some of the toxins in your house, what I started with first was I got a starter kit. I got this oil, Progessence Plus. I got 2 bottles of Ningxia Red that I talked about, the red drink that I talked about, and then I got Thieves Cleaner. So I basically started with those things and started to have incredible results. Now, our Thieves Cleaner will replace almost all the cleaners in your house. You just take a cap full of this concentrate, put it in a spray bottle, fill with water, and you have all the cleaners that you could ever want. You can get rid of those toxic cleaners. So with those things that I just mentioned, you've got your diffuser to replace your candles and your room sprays. You've got your thieves to replace your cleaners. You've got your oils and your diffuser to replace all your candles. Like, you are well on your way to having a clean home where you know that the products that you use are safe for you. You know that they're not damaging your hormones even further. You know that you're getting these oils in your system, which are cleaning out your cells, like so good. So that is our basic starter kit. I think that is such a good way to start balancing your hormones. Again, all the stuff that I mentioned is so good. I just feel like this is the easy button. You could do this one along with all the others and get such a good start on feeling better, losing some weight, balancing out your hormones, and all of that. So that is what I have for you, dear hearts. I hope this has been helpful. I hope you've gotten some ideas for how you can use these products to feel better, to have more energy, to feel in such a better mood, have less stress. I hope it's been helpful in that way. We will have the replay up, I hope, shortly. So if you have somebody that you would like to send it to, just let the person know who invited you to the class. If you need help getting signed up with Young Living, make sure you ask. Probably whoever invited you to this class is in my teaching group, so we can get you added to our Facebook group where we do lots of teaching, lots of giveaways, and all of that. So, all right, you guys, let's get to see you today. And until next time, balance out those hormones. Make mama happy. Bye, y'all.